Hey everyone, Mark and Steve here.
Before we get started today, we want to let you know about Dare to Connect, our new online interactive video platform.
For less than the cost of a therapy session, you and your spouse get live access to both of us 3 times a week.
Each 30-minute live group support session provides interactive mentoring and healing for addicts, spouses, and couples.
If you're loving our podcast and our unique style of bringing you recovery, you're going to love Dare to Connect.
To learn more, go to daretoconnectnow.com. We're looking forward to seeing and working with you. Hey everybody, I'm Steve Moore.
And I'm Mark Castleman.
We know the pain and heartbreak of porn and sex addiction.
And we know the triumph of breaking completely free.
Every day, we help our clients find hope and healing.
Join us in the fight to take back your life, your marriage, and be stronger than ever.
This is the PBSE Squared podcast. Hey everybody, Mark and Steve here at the PBSE podcast today. Good to be with you today. We're excited about today's topic, and we definitely have, some emotions tied to
Is excited the right
today.
word? Definitely passionate, definitely elevated.
Excited to tackle it in a good way.
And by the way, if you notice the title, what should come first? Him ending his affair or us starting couples counseling? That was entirely intended to be blatant sarcasm.
Absolutely. How about we're gonna read a question, okay, that we got from a listener, and then we'll kind of jump into our thoughts and feelings about it. But everybody buckle up. It's gonna be, you will be entertained today, if nothing else.
It's gonna be a wild ride, yes.
So here we go. My partner and I are stuck. We have been separated for almost a year now, but living together for financial and child reasons. I have told him that he has to break up with his affair partner before I will agree to couples counseling. That goes without saying that I will not welcome him back to our bed without breaking up with his affair partner. He will say to me that he will break up with his affair partner, but only if I can show him effort that I still want him. Pause for sarcasm. He tells me that I am the one that has given up on him and our marriage because I won't go out of my way to set up dates with him, agree to cuddling and physical affection. My heart is pleading for him to want our marriage over his addiction. Am I being too stubborn with my boundary that he give up his girlfriend before couples counseling? Some days I feel like I am drowning in heartache and indecision. A huge part of me knows it's time to talk divorce, but a part of me still yearns for connection, for the connection I know we could have. Help.
Wow.
We are, I'm not going to lie, but Mark and I have been through this several times now as we got ready for today's show, and I think we're just pissed, honestly. This really, as two recovering addicts, I think I speak for both of them to say this really angers us in a lot of ways.
Well, and first of all, just so you all understand, as we read that, as I read that, I have to tell you, it puts me into such connection with my narcissistic, dark, cold, outrageous self during my addiction years.
Yes.
Oh man,
absolutely.
Does it bring that memory flooding back into my mind.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons this is so outrageous, because, I know this guy.
Yeah, no,
right?
Absolutely. And so it is important to note that we do have some empathy as addicts. We can resonate with some of the distorted thinking here, but in the same note, I will just say that this gentleman who is with this affair partner and is using this or trying to use this as leverage for what he's looking for, to say that that's distorted is like so far above and beyond inadequate to describe being out there. It's just ridiculous. I feel so much I know we were just talking about it before this. We feel so much empathy for this listener. To be in a place, the journey to getting to a place where you would actually be considering possibly giving into demands like this really speaks to how much gaslighting and how much manipulation has been going on in this relationship among whatever else for quite some time.
Well, and my heart goes out to this gal, because if she is in this place where she's being a doormat and being manipulated in this way and questioning herself in such an outrageous situation, I can only imagine what she's been through.
Absolutely.
Even possibly before this marriage even began. She may have had some terrible things when she was growing up, but whatever got her here, our hearts really go out to her to find yourself in this place.
Absolutely. So we're going to say a couple of things here right out the gate before we kind of talk about the other pieces of this. Number one, partner, we hope that you're listening to this today. We'll shoot you an email and make sure that you know we talked about this if we haven't already. No, rule number one, no partner should ever be held hostage by a partner's fidelity. Ever. A partner's fidelity should never be contingent on behavior from you. You know, when we tackle, I like how Mark said this as we were kind of doing prep work for today's podcast. This is basic human decency. Mark, I loved how you said that, right? We talk a lot on this program about boundaries, and we talk about the different levels of boundaries, right? We've got the to-dos, we've got the red flags, and then we've got the deal breakers. Everyone oscillates somewhat with deal breakers even, right? It's in most cases, we will see a lot of differences between, deal breakers in terms of, what could end a relationship. In our probably not so humble opinion, I think from where we're both coming from, there isn't a realm of reality in which a person should not have the right to expect fidelity from a partner. They're just not. I don't care what you've done. I just don't care.
This is what we call a non-negotiable.
Yes.
And let's say, and we don't have any indication that there would be any such thing in this relationship, but in a relationship, if there had been, difficulties or betrayals on both sides of the equation, still, it is common decency and common basic integrity that before I enter into another relationship, I formally end the one I'm in now.
Absolutely.
That's beyond basics, guys.
Yes.
I mean, that is just, wow. Okay. I don't care what's happened. You are going to go through the process of ending this relationship before you go to another one. But having said that, this goes way beyond that. You said something, Steve, as you and I are preparing for this. You said, we don't negotiate with terrorists, and we don't negotiate or conform to a partner who is demanding that we meet certain conditions before he stops having, sex with another woman.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it's just like, wow.
And we don't mean to laugh, but honestly, it is.
Well,
I mean,
so
really
outrageous that there's just this. I mean, I don't know. There's something that bubbles up, and you're like, I'm either going to scream my head off, or it's just laughable. You're like, wow. Like, dude, what universe do you live in?
Absolutely. And we don't know what this addict has been through.
We don't.
What that developed out this line of thinking. But lovingly, if you are by chance listening to this at all, you need to wake up, because approaching a relationship like this on such a basic level, there is some serious work to be done.
Well, and if the guy in question is listening to this, hey, let us be clear. Steve and I understand
absolutely
what it's like to be in this mindset. We do.
Yeah.
And I, as somebody in recovery, can say to this guy, man, not only does my heart go out to your wife, but my heart goes out to you as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pissed off as I hear this. Part of my anger is the fact that I know that I was engaged with and capable of these things years ago. And it makes me angry to think of myself in that place. Mm-hmm. But I also understand what gets you and me there. The crap and the stuff in my life that got me to the place where I would behave that way was a really sad and difficult and tragic, path to get to the place where I was that narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
So please understand, if you're listening, or any of the rest of you, guys or gals who are on this side of the equation, we get what it takes to get to the place of being that out of touch. And our hearts go out to you, and we plead with you to wake up and get help, because this isn't going to end well. And not just in regard to this relationship, but this guy's life isn't going to track in a peaceful, fulfilling, happy, successful, wonderful way if he keeps on this kind of behavior track.
No, absolutely. I mean, being held hostage about anything, obviously this is an exceptionally ludicrous demand, but being held hostage, it never cultivates intimacy on any level, right? When we set boundaries with people, they're just that, they're boundaries, right? We outline clear consequences, but we do that from a place of love and a place of a desire to be able to elicit change, not in the part necessary of the partner, but to protect the integrity of the self. And I don't know, I mean, we don't know everyone on the planet, but we do know how basic human functioning works. And if I'm the addict here, I have to really question, is this really an ask that is designed to quote unquote protect my integrity? Because I doubt very much that any person could really look themselves in the eye and authentically say, yeah, my authentic self says that it's okay under certain circumstances to go out and betray my partner.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. The key is to step back and say, what is really at the deep core of my intention and motivation for making this ask of my partner? Why am I demanding this? What is it about?
Yes.
And likely, if I look at myself in the past, this is about control. This is about manipulation. This is about wanting to have my cake and eat it too. This is wanting to play both sides of the field.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's wanting to have a guarantee. If you can guarantee that we're going to succeed in this relationship, you can guarantee that you want me, desire me, we're going to go on dates, you're going to cuddle me, you're going to give me all of these things, and you can guarantee that, spouse, then I'll stop this affair.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mark. And as we say oftentimes on here and also on our, Dare to Connect program, where we meet with subscribers 3 times a week, we just talked about something similar just the other day, right? There has to be an absolute, there has to be a baseline, guys, of trust and empathy and love in a relationship. And when you introduce, and when you create a dynamic like this, the one thing you're never going to get out of this is connection.
No,
ever.
Not possible.
Best case, you will get compliance, but you'll never get connection.
Never get connection. You'll never get real, true intimacy.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And an important part, so if we get back to our listener who wrote this in, the thing that my heart really goes out to her with is to invite her and encourage her to really begin to explore what has happened in your life, in your relationship, that has brought you to the place where you would put up with something like this.
Absolutely.
I know that there's some very, very trying and difficult things that are obviously in your history that would bring you to the place where you would even consider this as a question. So what is that for you? Steve and I, we have a lot of compassion for spouses we work with who have been broken and worn down, and just the various things that have attacked their self-esteem and ways that they feel like they have to put up with this in order to be wanted or desired or to connect with someone. That's got to be a really painful path that has brought her to this place. And it's important that she gets some support in a support system to begin to explore, why would I allow myself to be in this position?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, whatever else is going on here, if we were to infer a little bit into this situation, I would say that this wife is a very extreme case of what we see oftentimes because of the dynamics of addiction and the stigmas associated with sexual addiction, right? And the secrecy and the shame, not just on the part of the addict, but on the part of the partner. This partner strikes me as somebody who is clearly extremely isolated from the input of other people who really care and really get it.
Yes.
And getting you connected, I think the number one thing that needs to happen is we've got to get you connected with a good partners 12-step group, a partner of addicts in a non-group.
Yep, as non. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where you can get around other partners and get an additional perspective, because whatever else is going on, and we say this with all the love in the world, you have been completely pulled into his crazy. This world that he's living in and is down is up and up is down. You are like Alice in Wonderland, and we have got to take you we've got to get you out of the looking glass.
Yeah. So Steve, as we talk about that specifically, so Essanon would be one, COSA, right?
Yes.
Codependence Anonymous.
Or CODA, rather.
CODA. Codependence Anonymous. Yep.
Be a good starting place. I mean, really, any of those partners groups or codependency groups would be a good start. But most importantly, finding some people who are in your corner who can actually get it and being able to open up to them. People that are going to love you enough to hear you out, but also be able to love you enough to tell you like it is. Because, I mean, it's really hard for Mark and I, when we do these podcasts and when we do D2C, the Dare to Connect program, it's really hard in most cases to make broad judgments. We know that we're just tackling one area of a multifaceted situation, but from where we sit, there just is not a realm of reality in which what is going on here is okay, justified, or logical. It's just not. And we've got to, and it's important for you to be connecting with other people who are going to be able to reinforce that other paradigm, right? That other line of thinking.
Yep. You want people who have been there, have been where you are. They're down the road quite a ways.
Yes.
And you can bounce things off of them, because it's so easy when you get into a relationship like this and you're what we call emotionally enmeshed. You lose your objectivity very quickly. Yes. You lose the ability to step back and to observe and watch what's going on from an objective place. And gaslighting and trauma and abuse and psychological manipulation and all of these things, they rob us of our objectivity. And this is why we need to have a support system and group that we can bounce things off of and say, hey, can I present to you this scenario and can you tell me what you think? And Steve and I we kind of chuckled a little bit. And we thought, boy, would we like to be in that first group that she attends and presents that scenario to a whole bunch of women who have been through this. We'd like to be there to watch that response.
Yeah. I mean, there would definitely be a rally for sure, right? Yeah. Among whatever else there is. It would, we really do connect with the difficulty of the situation. We don't know if there are other factors involved, if there are kids or if there are whatever.
We don't.
But what we can say for sure.
They've stayed together for financial and child reasons.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I missed that. So we know this is complicated and it isn't fair for us to be able to say, hey, you should leave or hey, you should not. But I can tell you that if any client ever came into my office, one thing I could say is that if remaining in a relationship means operating under this kind of a hostage dynamic where basic fundamental needs in a relationship are withheld in order to get me to conform in it, there is not enough money in the world to keep me in that marriage. If my partner is not willing to make changes.
No, there isn't. There's no way.
Saving a marriage, losing oneself in a relationship to save the marriage means losing the self and the marriage.
Exactly. And again, we want to be absolutely clear, Steve and I, because we know when we were in addiction, if we had been listening to this podcast, we would have thought, oh, great, crucify the addict once again. Right? We are not trying to come across that way.
No.
We are trying to have empathy for both parties in this situation. But we are definitely saying to the woman, to the spouse in this scenario, this is absolutely 100% unacceptable under any circumstances. There is no explanation that could be given to us where we go, well, you know what? In this case, this might be okay. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
And whatever pain the addict is feeling, wherever you may be feeling that hurt and whatever's driving this, it's just not justified. And honestly, you're going one addict to another. You are going about this in a way that will never elicit what you're looking for ever.
Yeah.
It just won't.
Yeah. We get kind of the sense that maybe you're yearning for connection and intimacy with your wife and really want that to be restored.
Relationships are risks. Going back to that guarantees part, they are risks. And that is how intimacy works. We don't offer guarantees in this process, nor do we, again, conform to demands. These tactics of manipulation and control, however good of a place they may be coming from or not, they aren't okay. They're never going to work, and you're going to end up unsatisfied, and so will your spouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway,
well, that's we got passionate today. But we've got really strong feelings about all of this from the side of this wife and also from the side of the husband, because we understand a good deal about where he's coming from as well.
For sure.
So please,
Oh no, sorry, Mark. Didn't mean to cut you off. For all those listening, please do. We're glad you listened to this podcast. And we're glad that you tune in. The other thing we never mentioned is definitely a good therapist would be helpful in this process as well.
Very much so.
There are lots of resources out there that way. And another great option would be, please consider, if you find yourself even edging towards a place like this and you feel like you get good things from this podcast, please consider giving Dare to Connect a try. It comes with a 2-week free trial. We'd love to have you join us. This journey is so hard and so difficult for both addicts and spouses, and navigating it alone is really, as Mark and I say often, we've tried our best to create the program that we always wish we had had.
Yes.
I know my therapy bill would have been cut probably by 2/3 if I'd had something like this around. So
sure.
We'd love to have you join us. Take a look at daretoconnectnow.com. We'd love to have you see you there.
And we'll see you next time on PBSE.
Take care, everybody.
Everything expressed on the PBSE podcast are the opinions of the hosts and the participants and is for informational and educational purposes only. This podcast should not be considered mental health therapy or as a substitute thereof. It is strongly recommended that you seek out the clinical guidance of an individual qualified mental health professional. If you're experiencing thoughts of suicide, self-harm, or a desire to harm others, please dial 911 or go to your nearest emergency room.